Hey everybody, this is on a video on one of my most requested subjects, which is creating your own AI agency business. And then, so if you don't know my personal background, I have about 24 years of overall IT experience and about 10 years overall consulting. And then recently, for about the last 2 years or so, I've been involved in AI consulting and developing and running an AI agency. So I have a lot of experience and background with this particular subject. And then so it's a subject that often comes up for people and with people. So I figure why not make a video on it and let's explore this topic more in depth. And then so I have essentially a general slide deck that I go over with if I'm trying to set up like a general like sales presentation. So the very first thing that I would say up front with getting into and running your own AI agency is no matter what aspect that you're getting into it, whether or not you're on the back end, like as a technical person, or on the front end, you're going to sell. My background is engineering. I like and prefer being fully on the back end and in the background, but I recognize 1,000,000% that always be closing or you don't get business when you're actually running your own business. And that's just essentially how it works overall. So that's essentially rule number one. And then so with that, I have a deck that I have at all times I dive into if I need to for new clients, things like that. And as I figured the best way to run this video is to kind of go through this deck, and it gives you an idea of everything that you need to know with regards towards starting your own AI agency business. So let me dive into this. The very first place that I want to start is with a bit of a history lesson. And then, so to me, when we're talking about AI, the AI revolution, anything around AI, all of that, we need to frame it in the proper context and the proper historical context. To me, it's not about the technology itself. Like, it's not about the flashy sports car, right? It's about the fact that of automation. It started a long time ago with the Industrial Revolution and with the steam engine, and then evolved from there into Henry Ford and the assembly line, and then from there into the internet and automation of selection, and then now we're into automation of life. And so it's not, again, like it's broader than the technology, and it's about the automation itself and moving forward that automation, making things cheaper and more efficient. That's essentially what capitalism does, right? We operate in a capitalist society. And then so all of this is essentially looking for and seeking and driving towards like new ways and avenues of revenue. And then so within that, essentially, where does the AI business come in overall, right? And then and how does that look? And then so as far as services that I offer, as far as like an AI consulting agency, what I offer four essential tiers of service. And then to me, the great thing that AI has done is it's augments, and I'll talk about this a lot as I go through this deck, is that it's greatest at augmenting things rather than fully replacing. And then so what you'll see with my tiers is that as opposed to other people that will have three tiers, I have four. So it's augmenting and adding additional, right? So tier one is I need a CTO, I need myself. Tier two would be I want only US only staff and I'm willing to pay for that. Tier three would be that I want to offshore the bulk of my project. And then for most people, this is where we're at, is tier three. And then so what I add with the AI agency is simply a tier four on top of that. I want AI to handle the bulk of my project. And then, so talking about this specifically from the selling points and from the creation of the business angle, to me, this is important to set up and to frame in this particular way, right? It's I'm offering essentially all of these services, the traditional IT services that you would find, the traditional AI agency services, but then with an AI element on top of it, giving you essentially more options and more choice is my goal. My goal is essentially to have you categorize up front exactly where you want to be. Like I'm looking for that CTO expert, or I'm looking for just like I want like a automate everything as cheaply as possible. And so you know upfront, exactly where you're going with that. And then, so this slide is essentially just going into the perfect storm that makes up the AI boom. And then essentially, I utilize this slide to essentially pitch myself as the expert and where the expertise is needed and guided, right? That it's a multidisciplinary approach, not just technology. As I started off this slide, I go through that a lot, that it's not just technology that you're dealing with when you're dealing with, especially when you're dealing with AI overall, right? That you're dealing with multi-disciplines and multi-layered layers of expertise, and that's what you get overall, not just the solution, not just the AI, not just the implementation, but that multi-layered expertise. This slide is one of my favorite slides overall, and it's essentially just 77 and 77. So 77% of businesses today are interested in AI in some way, shape, or form. They're interested. They want to know more about AI. 77% of businesses don't know how to do or implement AI or know enough about AI to take a step forward. So there's a huge market gap that's on pause, and then I'm starting to see more and more of a shift in a releasing of that dam. It's 77%, and then so that's the statistics that I like to go with there. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, and I mentioned this all throughout, AI is better at augmenting than replacing. No matter what you do with the AI solution, you're going to want some sort of man in the middle, a human in the middle process. And that's not a process that can be fully solved for. And it's not a process that we want to fully solve for. And then if the business owner wants to get into that more in depth as far as the AI ethics discussion, I can do that. Most people avoid that discussion, quite honestly, and then they just leave it there and they understand it there. But so that's kind of where that comes in within that, and then how I frame that overall. And I think it's an important discussion to have overall and upfront, and then to frame it that essentially you're not ever going to 100% eliminate and a human intervention within a process, within a business process overall. Right? There's going to be some sort of human intervention within this process chain somewhere along the line. This next one, I like to frame it as I do this honestly, quite honestly. This slide to me is I use this as a personal framing. Engineers often, like if you deal with a typical engineer, they'll often try to sell you and look at the approach of the Ferrari, right? Like the technology and what's most important about the technology. But to me, understanding and again, framing this in where it comes back into framing yourself as the AI agency, right? Like why they want to actually go with an agency, which is important within this. They're going with an agency because they want the expertise of the agency. They're doing this because I can build the Ferrari or the Lamborghini, and I understand, and it's cool, and I can talk Ferrari and Lamborghini, but I understand that at the end of the day, business owners, they want the Honda, they want the Civic, and they just want the smooth ride because it gets the job done. And then so at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about overall, and we're framing it always in this context overall and not losing sight of that. And then so within that taking that to the next level, that not losing sight of the Honda approach, right? And then so flipping that script onto what I think that is the problem with business owners themselves and with the corporate industry overall, and what's leading to that kind of like 77% laggard that I showed up there, is there's a disconnect at the moment between what AI is very strong at and what businesses want AI to be very strong at. And there's to me, that disconnect is easily solved for. It's just understanding that disconnect exists and then reframing the approaches and the problems that you put AI in to tackle. I don't think that the approach is to try to reformulate AI in order to solve for those problems. And then in this instance, what I mean by this is a lot of businesses and a lot of problems that they try to throw AI at, they assume and that they want a business that they're throwing it at a problem where they want 99.9999995% accuracy, right? 5 layers of nines. And then you're not going to get that ever out of AI, plain and simple. But so if you're looking for industries where you don't need quite that percentage, like customer service, marketing, sales, predictive analytics, building copy, these types of things, then that's where AI is going to become really strong, and it's going to be utilized as your best asset, as opposed to this like huge amounts of nothing but accuracy. This model, this slide, and then the next few slides, I'll kind of go through this. I'll breeze through these next 2 slides because it's essentially, to me, it just frames the overall approach that I try to go with the business owner, and framing this overall, and kind of my mentality with regards towards AI as it comes to businesses, which is that essentially a few things. Number one is upfront, you are going to lose money by not investing in AI upfront, because you're going to not be building out that infrastructure as opposed to other companies. And what most people don't understand, what gets lost within that equation, is that AI, as opposed to traditional IT and tech resources that are depreciating assets, AI becomes a appreciating asset, wherein you're not investing in the model in particular, you're investing more so in your internal infrastructure to train the model. You're investing in your internal infrastructure with regards towards your data, cleaning it, making sure that you have it available, getting more data, understanding the exact data that you need, understanding the mindset that you need to train that AI model and get it into your business in the first place. You're building your moat from day one, and you're building and getting ROI from doing that from day one, which is a unique proposition that AI offers that no other technology that has come before it offers. And then so within that, breaking that down, what does that look like from the actual model approach, right? Which is what these next few slides go into. And then so within that, you essentially have 3 layers of models: large, medium, and small. And then they all do different things. Think of the large model as your foundational model, the model that you rely on, your workhorse, the kind of main engine, like your right-hand person. The medium model serves as like the agents, the ones that are essentially like your more like a customer service bots, sales bots, your those marketing, those types of things. And then your small models are the nervous system spread all throughout the organization, and then doing different things, and then being called on and relying on and being relied on by the large models and the medium models. And then just going through these, this is essentially just going into that more in depth, what I just talked about, right? And then these slides, and these next 2 slides in particular, I like them. They just outline the business process, right? And then these 2 slides, this slide and then this slide, they do a few things on this slide. Do a few things for me, right? I include these. I talk about these because I talk about the business process and the business flow within these, but then they also set myself up again as the expert, right? So when you're talking about launching an AI agency or an AI business, at the end of the day, you're still selling your expertise, right? You're going into it. They're still purchasing the expertise of the agency overall. And then so you need to have tech stack expertise overall. They need to be comfortable that you are understanding not just a technology that you want to sell, but how the technology fits within their tech stack and how it looks for them overall, and what's their overall large picture. And I try to always frame that and come back to that, and then reference that and soft reference that psychologically in various ways, right? And so that's kind of just what these 3 slides do to reinforce that. And then here I go kind of just more into like that knowledge, right? And then with these slides here, so the project-specific algorithms, process flow explained, and then the stack architecture detailed. It's all about building up knowledge with these 3 slides. So this, like, essentially this whole like 6-slide section is showing off my expertise, and then showing off like my front end and back end abilities, right? That's kind of like how I personally try to structure, and I have this deck laid out there just so you know there. And then so this is, and then we get into essentially like the business aspect, and then so and then that's where I ended on, right? Is essentially going back and then iterating back, and then that's my approach and my overall kind of secret sauce when it comes to being that expert when it comes to launching your own AI business, as we're talking about in this particular instance, is being that blend of technical expertise, but then also always bringing it back and grounding it back to business at the end of the day and economics, right? And at the end of the day, I understand that it's the business owner that is cutting the checks and is interested in these projects overall. They're the executive stakeholder. It's not the engineer that's building out the project, right? The engineer is not the one paying for it or wanting the end result. And then so I recognize that, and I cater to that up front and make that crystal clear up front. And I put that as a part of a very big part of building and running an AI agency overall. So overall, the biggest thing that I can tell you is that you're framing yourself overall within a overall niche within the industry overall. So whether that be like tech stack architecture, marketing and ops, sales ops, finance, whatever it is, right? You have a niche and then you're augmenting it with AI. I think that's the number one and most important thing is so again, having not just like we're not just an AI agency, we're an AI agency that does X, or we're an agency that does X with AI and that also includes AI. And then so with that, if you follow these steps, I think that that's your key path to success. And if you have any other questions or you want more of this type of content with regards towards running and starting your own business, especially when it comes towards artificial intelligence, then please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.